I have a very annoying problem. So when I'm trying to watch some YouTube or TV series, the sound tends to fluctuate. So for example, when someone is talking to someone else, they are whispering. So I need to go down to the taskbar, minimize the window, and increase the volume. Then, all of a sudden, there is an action scene, for example, and now I need to go again, minimize the window, go to the taskbar, and decrease the volume. So you can already see how this is very frustrating for me. So that's why I've decided to make this. So let's take a look at this. And what is this thing that I have just created? If we look at this closely, we can see here some components that are soldered together. And one of them, I think, is the most important one, is this. This is the rotary encoder. So what this thing is that it allows us to, first of all, rotate this head like 360 degrees, and you can rotate it infinitely without anything. And it has 5 pins on it. So 2 of the pins are here, 1 of the pins on this side. It goes to some pin, and this pin on our microcontroller is ground. 2 other pins are connected to digital input. So in this case, they are digital input 1 and digital input 3. And the other side is connected to ground and analog input 3. But I will tell you that we will not use these pins and this side for today. But of course, if you want to, you can add this side, and I will tell you what this side is right now. So this rotary encoder allows us to rotate it clockwise or counterclockwise, but also it allows us to push on it like this. So it's kind of like a push button. That's actually what these 2 pins are for. They are just a regular switch or regular push button. So when you press on it, these 2 contacts will connect to each other, and maybe you can enable this push button to do something. I'll talk about this a little bit later. So the other thing is, it's this. And this is not microcontroller, I would say, but this is a board which called Tiny2040. And on this board, we have a microcontroller that is hidden over there, right under the encoder. Okay, so I have another board, similar board, but it's unsoldered to the encoder like this. So what's under this board, under this encoder? It's this microcontroller. And this microcontroller I cannot show you, unfortunately, but this microcontroller is RP2040 from Raspberry Pi. And it is exactly same microcontroller as this one. And this is board called Raspberry Pi Pico. So if you want, you can use this board instead of this black little board. But I just wanted to use this one. I don't know, it just looks interesting. And I can solder encoder just like this. But of course, you can use this microcontroller, this board, Raspberry Pi Pico, because the code that we will write for this will be exactly same, and every firmware will be exactly same. So, what does this thing do? And probably you've already guessed, this thing will allow us to increase or decrease volume. So for example, it will be connected like this, and when we turn encoder clockwise, for example, it will increase volume. And if we want to decrease the volume, we will turn encoder counterclockwise. And the other thing, you can maybe add a push button functionality. So for example, when you push on it, it will mute the audio. And when you push it again, it will unmute audio. But unfortunately, I couldn't do this because, I don't know, I'm just lazy. But you can connect this push button to some of the digital inputs here. Or maybe actually you can use analog input, but I honestly don't know how to do it. So that's why I didn't add push button functionality here. And so this thing, I don't know how to call it, this controller will allow me to control volume on my computer, on my laptop, using USB cable and something called HID, Human Interface Devices, that just lets us make this controller to act as a human interface device. And it's just similar to keyboards or mice. It's just telling computer what signal to expect and how to behave using USB. I think we are done here. Now let's go to my computer and I'll show you the code, what libraries did I use, and how to connect everything here. Also, one more thing that I forgot to mention is that we need to install something called CircuitPython on this microcontroller, and it's just some variation of Python that works for microcontrollers. So, before we connect this board to our computer, we need to install CircuitPython. How do we do that? So here, for example, we see this button, which is called boot. On Raspberry Pi Pico, there will be only one button, which is boot cell, and you need to do same thing for Raspberry Pi Pico as here. I'll push on this button, boot, and I will not release it until something happens on my computer. So push, connect this cable, don't release it. Okay, now on my computer, I have something, some folder that was opened. I can release the button, and that means we are in the setup mode for this board. So now we can go to our computer, and I will show you first how to install CircuitPython, and then we will code this whole thing. Okay, so here we go. This is the folder or files that was opened. So it is called rpy-rp2 and d : something like that. But here we have two files, index.htm and info__uf2.txt. So we don't care about these files. So what we need is this folder. Don't close it, just minimize. Then we go to this website, circuitpython.org/downloads. Here we need to find our board, but because we use RP2040 with, it's just similar to Raspberry Pi Pico, that means we can choose Raspberry Pi Pico. Click here and download .uf2 now. So now that we have this file, we need to drag this file to that folder that was opened. So this one. We take this file that we just downloaded and just drop it here. Then we wait. And here we go. We have this folder opened. Now it's called CircuitPy, and here we will have all our files. So the two main files that we will use, they are code.py. This is the main code that we will upload to our Pico or our board. And the other is lib. Here we'll have our libraries. So if I click here, I will have already one library installed, and this is the library that we will install, but for you it will be empty. So now to install this library, we go to this URL. It'll be linked in the description. Then we go down and we need to find this file, Adafruit CircuitPython-HID. We need to download this file, so click. Next, inside this zip file, we have this folder. We open that folder, then we go to lib, and we take this folder, which is called Adafruit-HID, and we just drag and drop it here, where we have lib of our board. So here we go. If we go back, here we will have our files from our board. And now we can open this file, code.py. So now we have our code opened, and I'm programming in this text editor, or actually development environment. This development environment called Thony. This development environment is just easy to use with microcontrollers that use Python or MicroPython or CircuitPython. So what we need to do now, because we have this error in console, in shell, what we need to do is to go to the right bottom corner. Here we will have some text. We click on it, and here we need to find our board that we just connected. So this will be CircuitPython. So we click on it, and we should see something like this. So that means it's installed correctly, and we can start programming. So first, what we need to do is to import some libraries. The first two libraries are to use our pins on the board so that we can configure them as inputs or outputs or set pull-up resistors, something like that. And of course, we need a library called time. The other thing that we need to import, these are the libraries. So first, USB HID. So this library will be used in Adafruit library that we just installed. It just enables us to use our device as human interface device. So as I said, similar to keyboards or mice on computer. And the next two libraries are Adafruit library that uses some, I think, classes, maybe functions from its library. So we import them. Next thing, what we need to do is to configure or initialize our rotary encoder. So what we'll do is this. Actually, before that, I forgot to tell you how the rotary encoder works itself. So I will link in the description the amazing video of how this rotary encoder works, because it will explain this concept very, very well, and I think it will explain it much better than I try to explain how the rotary encoder works. So just make sure to watch that video and understand how the rotary encoder works. But now we will define two pins, which we will call encoder pin A and pin B. So these pins are the pins that we will connect to our boards GP1 and GP3, or digital input 1, digital input 3. And these are the pins that we will use to determine the direction of rotation our encoder. Next, we need to set these pins as inputs, so just like that. And we also need to enable pull-up resistors so that we can eliminate some noise or bouncing. And then we need to code the logic of the rotary encoder itself. So first we initialize two variables that's called last state of pin A and last state of pin B. So these last states will be whatever value we have now on our encoder pins. So they will be either 0 or 1. Then we have some variable that we will use for debouncing delay. And next thing, which is very important, is to create and initialize our USB device that we will call consumer device. So this consumer device will allow us to increase or decrease volume on our computer or laptop. Then we need to create a while true loop. That means our program will run forever, essentially, or until we disconnect our board from power. And inside that loop, we will check always what is the current state of our pins. So we just read whatever value right now is on pin A or pin B and pin B. Next, we need to find if the encoder was turned clockwise or counterclockwise. So how do we do that? We just check if current state A is not same as last state of A. So that means encoder was turned, because current state will change from, for example, let's say 0 to 1, but our last state, it was already initialized here as, let's say, 1. Our current state will not equal to last state if we turn our encoder. And then we need to compare current state A with current state B to determine the direction of turning the potentiometer. Is it clockwise or counterclockwise? If our current state A not equal to current state B, we will say that the encoder was turned right or counterclockwise, clockwise. That means we need to increment volume. Otherwise, we just decrease volume. And then we need to add a debouncing delay. And finally, the last thing, we need to update our states or last states, because we are not turning encoder at this point. That means our last state will now be current state. And that should be all the code that we need. So now we need to run it and check if everything works. To run the script right now, we'll just use this run current script. Click here. Nothing in the console, that I think is good. So now I will turn my encoder clockwise That means we need to see the increase of volume. Yep, we see increasing volume. Now I will turn it counterclockwise, and the volume is decreasing. And unfortunately, I don't have the mute/unmute button configured right now, but if you want, you can configure it too. So now one more thing, I stop the code, pressing this button. We need to install this code to our board so that when we connect it to the laptop, it will run automatically right away. So how do we do that? We need to install this code to our board. That means we will go to File, to the left upper corner, Save As, and we need to choose where to save. So this computer or CircuitPython device. Of course, we choose CircuitPython device, and we'll need to save this as code.py. This is very important because this is what the device will look for. So save. And now that should work. Now, when we closed the window, we need to restart the device just to see if it works. Again, this folder will open, and let's try if it works or not. And yes, we see that this works. So I think this was an amazing project, especially for me, because I think it solved something that I was encountering every day. And this is amazing that I can make something really useful and something that I will use every day, every hour, every second maybe. So I really, really love this project. And the other thing is, of course, if you want, you can go to the documentation of Adafruit HAD library and read about some other things that they have there as USB HAD functions. And these functions you can configure to anything